Before every season, there's always a division that feels pretty wide open. And in 2026, the American League Central might be the best example of that because on paper, there's not really a clear powerhouse. It feels like a division where a few different teams could realistically come out on top. And if you look at the Twins, the general consensus right now is that they're probably not a contender. Most people think they're more likely to finish somewhere in the middle or back of the division. But I think that might be a little premature because there is absolutely a scenario where the Twins win the AL Central. It's just going to require a few things to happen, starting with the pitching staff. We know what they have at the top. Joe Ryan is a legitimate frontline starter. He has proven that. Last season, he had a 3.42 ERA and struck out 194 batters over 171 innings. That is a guy you can build around. But after him, there's a lot of uncertainty. You have guys like Taj Bradley and Mick Abel who both come with real upside, and we've seen that upside at times this spring. But at the same time, both really struggled last year. Bradley finished with an ERA north of 5. Abel was north of 6. So while the talent is there, the floor is still pretty low. And even with Bailey Ober and Simeon Woods Richardson, they might have a higher floor than Bradley and Abel, but there's still concerns about their ceiling outcomes. Ober had a 5.10 ERA last year and gave up a whopping 30 home runs. Woods Richardson was better on the surface with a low 4s ERA, but still had control issues, and nothing about his underlying data gives you a ton of confidence. So even the safer options are certainly not sure things. Luckily, the Twins probably don't need all four of those guys to hit, but if two of them can step forward and become reliable, quality starters, that could change everything for this Twins team. That rotation would go from a question mark to a group that could potentially keep the Twins in it most nights, even if the offense doesn't always show up. And then you get to the bullpen, which, at least on paper, is probably the weakest part of this roster. It feels like it's going to be more of a closer by committee approach, which isn't always a bad thing. But the bigger concern is the lack of high leverage experience. This is not a bullpen loaded with guys who have consistently pitched in late game situations. And that is where we're going to need at least one arm to step up. Taylor Rogers, I think, is especially interesting when talking about that because during his first stint with the Twins, he was the guy in the late inning situations. From 2018 to 2021, he picked up 50 saves and he was consistently being trusted in high leverage spots. He has been through those moments, and that kind of experience matters for a team like this because over the course of a season, 5 games that don't slip away from you late can ultimately be the difference between finishing third in the division and winning it. So even if it's not Rogers, someone is going to have to step up and claim that role to give the Twins some stability and reliability in those late game situations. Now, the offense is a similar story, but kind of for different reasons. There's a lot of upside in this lineup, but there is also a lot of volatility. And it really starts with guys like Matt Wallner and Royce Lewis. With Wallner, you know what you have in the power department. Last season, he hit 22 home runs in 104 games, and he has some of the best bat speed of any major league hitter. But there is a trade off with that, and that is his swing and miss. He hit just 202 last year and struck out at a 29% rate, which is very high and was actually a career best for Wallner. And there have been stretches where he looks like a true middle of the order force. We've seen some of that this spring, but there are other times where his strikeouts just pile up and his production disappears. Then you look at a guy like Royce Lewis, where on one hand, he's coming off a season where he hit just 236 with a 285 on base percentage and a slugging percentage that was below 400 for the first time in his career. Those are not numbers you expect from a player with Royce Lewis's talent level, but at the same time, the upside is still undeniable. We have seen stretches where Royce Lewis looks like a true MVP candidate at times. His bat speed, his ability to drive the ball, and the clutch factor are all still there. It just has not been consistent. And that is what this Twins team is going to need from him. And then there's the obvious last piece that needs to connect, and that is health, because it ties directly into everything we just talked about. Royce Lewis played in 106 games last year. That was a career high. Byron Buxton played in 102 games for the first time since 2017. And that matters because when those guys are on the field, this team looks completely different. But we have also already seen this year how things can go way wrong. Pablo Lopez is done for the season. This team cannot afford to lose multiple key pieces for extended periods of time. They just can't. So when you put it all together, yes, there are some things that are going to need to go right. But even if just 2 or 3 of those things break in the Twins' favor, you get a little more consistency, and there is a very real path where the Twins are atop the division come October. But that is all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for Twins news and updates every single day. But until next time, I'm Sam Calder, and I'm out.